Hey everyone, we're not going to get started just right this second, but I invite you to go ahead and get settled in, get comfortable. Feel free to look. This is the banner that's normally hanging behind, kind of on stage for the Josh Minor Dialogue, and I invite you to kind of look over the folks who have received this award and this honor in the past, and just get settled in. We'll give folks another extra minute or two to join us before we get started. All right, I think we can start to transition to begin. Wonderful. Thank you, Christy, for navigating all of the tech. So I can introduce myself. My name is Anne Louise. I use she, her pronouns. I am the chair of NERAC, which is the Northeast Regional Advisory Council. Sorry, I have like a cat hair floating amongst me. My cat is in my lap. And so it is wonderful to be with you all here this evening, to share a little bit around what to expect. I'm going to kind of start things off really quickly, recognizing that this is kind of coming to the close of a month-long conference, and recognizing some of the folks and what has happened in order to make all of that learning happen. I'll then send it over to Brett to share briefly and touch base with everybody before we start to really turn our focus to the main event, which is the Josh Minor Dialogue. With that, I would like to name that there's been a variety of components that has made this conference happen. And we recognize that we kind of started with the keynote, which if you haven't seen the keynote, there is a recording released. Rachel Haley spoke, and I definitely encourage you to check that out, as well as the PCOOP Award, and recognize our awardee for this year, and just gain all that you can from that experience. In addition to that piece, there's been a lot of components that have happened. There's been lots of workshops, so thank you to people who have facilitated workshops. There's been the affinity spaces. Thank you to the facilitators for that, as well as the professional groups that have happened. There's been what's called cohorts, which is the groups that have met once a week for the last 4 weeks, to be able to have a consistent group and learning. And so all of that richness and the workshops that happened today, there's been so much that's gone on within the last month. So thank you to everyone who's helped make that all happen, and to kind of bring it back together with all of that richness and learning and experience that has happened. We wanted to share a word cloud that people from a variety of different ways that they've overlapped and gotten involved in the conference has shared. So I'll just give you a moment in order to look over some of these words that showed up. It's beautiful to see belongingness as a big one here. And I invite you to think about and reflect on what are a few words that stand out to you around what you've learned within the last month. Great. Thank you. So in addition to all of those pieces and people that have helped run some of those offerings, the Oh, I just remembered one more that I want to sneak in there is the play note that I got to experience. I hope some of you were able to join as well. Folks from Project Adventure helped made that happen. I would love to turn it over to you, Brett, as someone who deserves a lot of recognition for all that has happened, in addition to heading up the team that has helped make everything happen.
Thanks, Anne Louise. And first and foremost, thanks to everyone who made this happen. AEE is a volunteer organization, so any of us who you see with HC at the beginning of their names or NIRAC in their names, we're all volunteers. We believe in that belongingness and that sense of community. That those are the two words that stood out to me. And so just a shout out to this year's host committee, Greg, Christy, Camille, Josie, Megan, and Matt, and to all the folks on NIRAC for giving your time and energy in a year where it doesn't seem like there's nearly enough time and energy to go around, but this team found it. So really grateful for those folks. And then finally, it's never too early to start talking about next year. I've dropped into the chat AEE's volunteer interest form. And while I'm representing host committee and Anne Louise is representing NIRAC, there are a number of ways to be involved. Most or closest to us on the horizon is the international conference, which will be virtual this year. And if you'd like to volunteer in some way with that, by all means, please reach out to the organization and let AEE know. Closer to home, and maybe a little farther out on the time horizon, is if you are interested in helping with future Northeast conferences or Northeast initiatives, whatever that may be, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. So that volunteer interest form is there in the chat as well. Barring anything else, Anne Louise, I think that in one of my favorite games, I can whoosh it back over to you.
And I will whoosh it over to Hutch in order to share for Josh Miner.
Well, thank you all. So I will be uncharacteristically brief and just set up what we're going to do. You know, one of the things I love most about the Northeast region of AEE is that we have experiences like the Elder Fire and the Josh Miner dialogue that draw out voices that we don't get to hear enough from. That in a world that often privileges youthful exuberance over time-tested wisdom, what I love about what the Northeast AEE does is provide a space for some of the elders in our field to come in and share some of the wisdom that they've learned, helping build the industry that we all love and enjoy to be a part of. In 20 years ago, Josh Miner came and spoke here at the Northeast region, and Josh Miner was really one of the founding members of Outward Bound here in the United States and bringing it over from Great Britain. And within 9 months of that speech, he had passed away. And members of the Northeast Regional Advisory Council realized that generation of leaders was passing on, and that we needed to capture those voices and highlight those voices and bring them together as often as we can. And so the creation of the Josh Miner Dialogue series occurred and was launched in 2003. And the idea of the Josh Miner series is not a keynote. It's not having someone just take the stage and just pontificate for an hour. It's about a conversation, because so much of what intergenerational learning is about is sitting down and listening and learning from the wisdom of folks who've gone before us. And so the idea of the Josh Miner is to have two folks, the honoree and an interviewer, to basically sit together on stage and ask questions and share stories and dive into the wisdom. This year's 2021 Josh Miner Dialogue honoree is Sanford Tollette. Now, Sanford, I won't tell you much about Sanford because that's really what this whole show is about. But Sanford helped found AEE. He was an executive member or executive board member of AEE for over 45 years. He's been the executive director of the Joseph Pfeiffer Kiwanis Camp in Little Rock, Arkansas, where he has for generations now transformed the lives of young at-risk youth in Arkansas. He will be interviewed today by Deidre Goodwin, who is the National Park Service Academy Coordinator for American Conservation Experience. She's also been very active in AEE as an Activate speaker and Activate coach. And so I'm going to now stop talking and turn it over to two of the most brilliant people I know in AEE, and that's Sanford Tollette and Deidre Goodwin.
Weird when you're honored in the same space as someone else that you're honored to even be on the screen with. But this isn't about me. This is about Sanford. And Sanford, I know that you don't like to talk about yourself, but we're gonna. That's the whole point. So I'm gonna use your joke against you, or maybe with you, but we'll start at the beginning. So as someone who was born in the last century, can you tell me about your childhood and what it was like growing up in Arkansas?
Oh, you bet, Deidre. And thank you, because my heart feels comfortable in your hands. My spirit and my soul feel very comfortable in your hands. Being born in Arkansas, did you first, I got to ask you, Deidre, did you get the little paper I sent you?
Oh, I did, but we're going off script. Sanford, I think your audio cut out.
My daughter is my technician. So what do I do now?
You're talking to my phone.
Okay. I hope everybody can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. Growing up in Arkansas was a joy because of my family, my mother and father. You know, contrary to popular belief, being an African-American in this society is almost like you didn't grow up happy or something, like you were oppressed and, you know, you weren't middle class. I had a go-kart, learned to throw a frisbee, swim, fish, but it was a segregated community. So growing up was fun, but I also was born into a period of time in this country. So I had to, from that love and joy that all of us would receive from moms and dads and family that were loving, there was a difference. The difference is that I just happened to be born Black. And we could take that as female or wherever you want to go with it. But I'm just getting down to the root of this society. I was born Black. So all of a sudden, I had to learn what the rules were in the middle of being happy. I grew up in a rural area, you know, hiking, camping, fishing on the side of the creek, you know, campfires. It was just kind of a way of life. Little did I know that I would, 55 years later, get paid to do what is called now experiential outdoor recreational camping. I had no idea that you get paid to have fun. And now look at kids that come out and see the first frog or a mosquito, the lightning bugs in the evening, or catch that first fish, or, you know, find out what a tick is. And, you know, ticks always find interesting places to set up home. And for little kids, what a discovery. What is that on me? And, you know, it's the end of the world for a lot of kids. But just being able to live upon this earth and share it and give it was what I grew up under, Deidre, with my family.
So you mentioned that you grew up in the outdoors and you didn't realize that it was a job that you could also do. So that just kind of added on to the fun of it. But can you tell me what your earliest memory of being an experiential educator was, with or without the title of experiential educator?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, I still have to go back to my family in terms of what I
Oh, you're muted, I think, or something's going on, unless it's me.
can anybody hear me?
You're good
You're
now.
back.
I'm not holding.
You gonna hold it? And so we tied these ropes between two trees, and then we got some tires, and then we tied a rope around a tire and another rope on the rope that went between the trees. And what we were doing is getting these old tires because we didn't have any money. We had a lot of junk, and we were being creative. And we thought that we could go from tire to tire, on this rope. Now somebody in this rope course industry has invented something like that somewhere. But we're talking early 60s, late 50s, and we're going to go from tire to tire. But I didn't understand the science of what we did. First was when we were swinging the tire, we didn't get the rope high enough. And so it would drag the ground and you'd fall off. Then we raised the rope all day long, just working, trying to figure this out. Then you get on the tire and it would start spinning. So then you'd fall off because you're drunk. You can't hold on. Then we decided that we would swing one tire. If somebody came up under the tire and you crawl up on the tire, and we walk you up and then let you go. And then you could swing and go to the other tire. And we thought we could walk through the tire. And then all of a sudden, because we didn't tie the knots right, the tire would break or the line would break. And of course, the rest is history in terms of the pain and agony of falling. But, Deidre, I would call that ropes course. I would call that experiential learning, and not knowing I was exposed to just being a creative, rambunctious little boy in the South, playing in the woods, trying to figure things out. I hope that answers your question.
And it came with a pretty good story behind it too. So something that makes me wonder is, I know a little bit about your family history, I know a little bit about your history, but where would you say that your creativity comes from?
Both my mom and dad. At this point, with my mom, and as I shared with you, and for those out there, my mom is not well. She may be on this with my wife right now. They're at the hospital. But my parents.
She is. We're here.
Oh, mom is listening. Oh, gosh. I was turned loose. There was no sky. I wasn't raised that I was black and I couldn't do. I was aware, but that creativity came from them. The sky was the limit. I was really born free as a little kid. The world caused the damage as I discovered, what the rules were. Did y'all hear that?
Yeah, just taking it in.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me another question. I thought I answered.
No, you did.
Okay.
So
let me give you this. Dad was a World War II vet, sunk in the Mediterranean, black guy, never got any awards, blown up in the Philippines, drove the landing craft to Okinawa, Saipan. Sounds like a movie. Comes back to America and they kick him out of the restaurant because he wanted to eat a hamburger. And all of y'all are free because of my daddy. Okay. And so all I can tell you is he got a ticket in 1950 for taking his boat out on the lake and going too fast. So he got a speeding ticket, and I was sitting on the front at about, I guess, 5 years old. And it was the greatest ride I ever had, Hutch, in my life. I had the ropes tied down my hand, and I'm bouncing up and down like this. And then we get to the bank, and this guy comes up behind me in a uniform and gives Dad a ticket. That's just free. That's just wide open. That was my life. And he got in a lot of trouble too. I have to say that. I think Mom might be, y'all don't see her, but she's probably shaking her head right now. But I was raised to go for it. And that's what I've lived my life doing. Experiential education became where, 30 years ago, I found my people, all of you. Because, if you're an experiential educator, you are weird, okay? You are not the norm of everybody that you hang out with, okay? So y'all got some issues. Every experiential educator has issues because you are passionate about making a difference. And all of your lives, you just found somehow, some way, it just was a little bit different until you got to this organization. And then all of a sudden, everybody that's here right now, you grew roots. This place, this space has given you something. You wouldn't be here tonight if you hadn't found your people. And welcome. I am enjoying this because we are not normal. None of us are normal. And we're sensitive, we're passionate, don't talk about our opinions. We'll argue the opinion. Everybody got an opinion, what that means. But boy, how sensitive we are when we go back to the bowels of our bed by ourselves in our room and lay down and beat ourselves up going, man, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, this, or being so passionate. I'm not going to let anybody run over me. I'm going to do this, and I don't care what they think. And then just go through all of this anguish just because you want to help and make a difference. I don't know if Deidre, if that's good or not, but I'm sure enjoying the therapy session right now.
Everything is good, Sanford. So I had a thought, and I'm actually going to deviate from that thought and go to a new one. So I don't know how much everybody else knows about your biography and what you have done and haven't done, all the things, but I have a two-part question for you. So the first part is, what is the highlight of your career? Like the thing that's on paper that everybody knows, it has to be known. But then for you personally, what is the highlight of your career so far? So the thing that maybe isn't on all of your biographies, but is the thing that stands out to you as an experiential educator.
Wow, Deidre. Right now, when you ask me that question, the highlight of everything that everybody can go on the website and see and research and find out. But the highlight for me as an experiential educator is my wife. The soulmate. When you're a little boy and a little girl, and you try to get somebody to sneak around to the back of the house with you, because that's your friend, you're trying to, hide from everybody with somebody that's opposite of you, that, you just got this feeling about them, and you don't know why you're doing it when you're young, but you just know you just got something going on and you want to be with that person. That's my wife. That's the highlight of everything. Experiential education, my creativity, my freedom, with my parents as the foundation. And, you know, it's hard unless I'm kind of in that zone to go, well, I was the first African-American to get the Kurt Hahn address. I was the first African-American Black guy to be elected to the international board. I was the first African-American to be the chairman of AmeriCorps for Arkansas and all the 50 states of the United States of America. And I can go on and on and on, but you know, all the way to having White House clearance and driving in the motorcade and meeting Air Force One. You know, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But what I really like to do is just sit and watch kids, see butterflies, you know, watch them canoe, watch kids, you know, swallow some water in the swimming pool and the eyes get real glassy, you know, you know, get stung by a bee, you know, see that first snake, you know, those are the rewards for me. And so, Deidre, the highlight is my wife in experiential education, because not only did she support me, but she pushed me and she has surpassed me. Where I was teaching her early on and exposing her, she now teaches me. And the traveler's journey of life, I hope this fits for everybody listening, is just a miracle. All the other things that people don't know, you can just kind of Google it up, because more than anything, I just like you guys to take me like I am right now. If I've said something that inspires you, if I say something that touches your heart or stimulates a thought, as an old guy in the industry, then that's what I want to do. You know, ask me questions. I am proud. I'm very proud of being able to still be alive and talk to you tonight with everything that I've been through. I'm very proud. And my prayer for all of you is that I want you all to get as old as I am so you can enjoy talking to young people. Everybody's quiet. I have to ask my wife, how am I doing? Is she there?
You're doing good in the chat.
Well, that was the best answer possible to that question. That was really sweet, Sanford. I appreciate that. I've
Can
never
y'all
heard
hear
you
my
say that.
wife?
I've never heard you say that before. That was an interesting answer. So thank you.
I hope everybody heard my wife's response. Put a thumbs up if you did. You did? That is called brownie points, everybody. I'm smooth. You know, if you're an AE, you got to be smooth too. You know, it's all the after parties after you go to the workshops. But they might be too young for that, Hutch. You know, because everything's on Zoom. That personal relationship is really good. So how am I doing?
I was going to say, everybody came to hear all of your wisdom and got relationship advice too. So I think you're going great.
Oh, good. Yeah. But, you know, Deidre, you know, on the serious side, for all of you that are tuned in right now, our world and our country is in trouble. There's anxiety everywhere. So many issues that are out there to face. And if I could say anything to all of you that would change your life right now, To thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. In what your passion is, what you feel that has come from somewhere that has you on this journey. And you can't fake. You can't be a phony if you're honest with yourself. If you're doing this for image, if you're doing this to climb to the top of some mountain, then you may be a lost spirit. But if you're doing this because you get satisfaction as an experiential educator, that there's a mission and a drive that you just can't shake, then the reward is going to be great. And that reward is just simply being able to be around long enough to tell a story. Just tell a story. Just look at people and make a smile. Look at somebody's eyes and see them have an aha moment where you pass some information out that somebody hadn't thought about. And stay passionate. You know, I had this poem, Hutch, that I've lived by for a long time, and a lot of you have probably heard it. But I thought about this, Dietrich, in a formal sense. And, you know, I've lived by it for a long time, ever since I first read it. People are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are honest, people may cheat you. Be honest anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good things you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give your best anyway. For you see, in the end, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. And I hope this finds you well, because this is a poem written by Mother Teresa. And I don't know all of your faiths out there, and I'm not trying to bring you to the altar or anything, but words are powerful. Words are powerful, and they are food, and they are substance. And find those words that have been written as a foundation for your soul, because they will be the energy that will carry you to your greater destiny. And I love reading poems and words and clippets because they inspire me. I live in those micro moments where, you know, you just do it anyway, against all odds. You know, I hope I'm touching somebody's heart out there. I'm not used to this, you know, computer stuff. So, you know, I'm an old guy living on 88 acres in a 96-year-old log cabin in the woods in Arkansas. That's where I am right now. And my wife's on, my mom is listening, and I hope I'm doing good. So somebody give me some feedback.
You're getting a lot of nods and hearts and hands and thumbs up. You're getting there.
Well, I'm getting there.
We're
Okay,
all here
come on,
with you.
Deidre, give me a hard one.
Hey, Deidre, do you mind if this is Binky, do you mind if I say something?
Go for it, Binky.
I just want to say that we did a workshop, our staff and AmeriCorps members did a workshop recently for the Core Network and for the AmeriCorps National Service Conference. And one of the things we talked about was mentoring and fostering the AmeriCorps member experience. And I've said this in many arenas, and it's very fitting to say it in this one, that one of our secret weapon at camp is Sanford, in terms of having AmeriCorps members come back year after year and having a satisfying experience while they're there. And it does go back to his mother and father, because both of them were and are very giving people to a fault. And they will give and give and give of themselves. And Sanford has always been like that, and is an inspiration to me in that regard. And I think that's, he's kind of the surrogate dad for a lot of the members who come from out of state and the ones who are in state, frankly. So I just have always appreciated that about him. And I've learned from that. I'm not as good at that as he is, because he has a certain passion for people. But anyway, he's the real deal. And he gave me a good shout out. So I want to give him a good one too. Not that he needs it, but he really has a gift for his ability to uplift people. And I appreciate that.
Thanks,
Can't y'all
Binky.
tell we in love? We in
Yeah.
love. All shook up. Whoa, whoa. That's Elvis Presley. Y'all don't know it. Look, we're living life. I wish and hope that everybody out there that is got a significant other, however your significant other is, are as lucky as I am with my life partner, because it's cool. It doesn't mean we don't fuss and fight. Doesn't mean that we don't have good days and bad days. But we fight with each other good, and it's always a draw because we both get whooped. And you just don't want to fight no more when you meet your match. You just go, I give. And it's not necessary. And it's through this whole thing called experiential education. It's this passion to share information, to share intellect, to impact other people's lives, to be recognized. And we come from many different venues, from, higher ed, from adventure-based, from technology, with so many different tentacles and passions that we bring to the table. But the sum total of it all is like these fingers. You take the thumb, it's short. This one, if you heard it before, and you got that one, that's called the bird finger. This one and that. And then you bring them all down like this, and you tuck that thumb on, and then you got a fist. And that's pretty dang powerful. All the individual tentacles make a fist of power. And to me, that's what AEE is, when we all come together, black, white, straight, whatever. It's wide open to me. My only judgment is if somebody is, I need to be professional, a horse's rear end. All right. And I don't think none of us like that. My old professor's that he said, don't feed me baloney. I had too much of it when I was a boy. So, I don't think none of us like too much baloney. I'm being nice right now. I'm looking at NERAC, Ray. Ray, I'm tuning in on you and Brett. I'm tuning in on Brett. Y'all, and then I got Katie. I'm tuning in on Katie. I don't see Sharon. I'm tuning in on her. I need feedback. And I've been really responding to you all's physical movements so that I feel like I'm doing something. I hope I'm giving you guys something, Greg. I hope you all don't regret the committee that selected me, Anna Louise, that, I'm a bust, but so many things from, the wonderful people I've met in AEE, the people that bring tears to my eyes as an African-American showing up in Santa Fe, New Mexico for the first AEE conference in '78 and walking into a room and I'm the only guy that looks like me, and the friends and the relationships that have lasted over 30 some years as I was in Arkansas formulating my thoughts on experiential education and my theories and philosophies and writing and developing and researching and documenting. It's about the profession of experiential education, so that I'm not just walking in a room and talking about feel-good stories, but I'm bringing the data and the research. If you ask me, what's the academic performance level of a kid that was in my program and he jumps 2 grade levels, I got the data and the proof and the credentialed people to make sure that the research is valid. It's so good for a while in terms of the impact that we were having on kids that people thought I was lying because they couldn't believe it. But we did strategies and techniques in terms of the creative form of experiential education, which I've always kind of had a philosophy of, I love ropes courses, but after they go down the zip line, does that kid know what a prepositional phrase is? Can he do math? And so we mix the two together. We can talk about feel good, learn to say, excuse me, thank you, but dang, he's scared to death. He think he's gonna die. He gonna say, excuse me, thank you. But they got to learn to read and write. And that's the real skills to go back to the neighborhood. And that's what we did in our ACE program. And we continue with those kids so they can come back year and year and year after year again. So that's a little bit of my passionate commitment in terms of that whole social piece. And, I just hope that whatever venue you're in, that you will make sure that you're just not talking the game intellectually, not being too sophisticated intellectually, because when it comes down to it, 1 and 1 is 2. Show me the proof. Prove yourself in this intellectualizing of experiential education. What happened on that out trip? What happened when you did whitewater rafting? What happened when you decide to go do a little climbing and you're on belay? What happened? There's this feel-good thing that happens. But if you're working with the clients like I did, how does that transfer that they can go get a job? And how many people like me are working in outdoor education programs that look like me? So come on, where's that opportunity? How do they go back to that community and transfer that to make a difference? So I don't want to bore anybody. I hope this has been fulfilling, but it is a challenge of this nation, this country. And I've always thought that experiential education was the last bastion of our greater humanity because of all the people that I met. And it's changed from the early days. It's really interesting that a lot of corporate people, when Hutch, can I be candid?
You're getting the nod.
Always, always.
Well, there were people in this association when I got elected to the board, and the ladies that were gay and people that were of different faith, and the corporate people started making comments like, AE had gone to the wolves, so to speak. I'm being nice. And we cleaned that thing up. All of us Heinz 57s that were looked down on. And then I remember going to a conference in Banff, Canada, and all the corporate boys were back. They all showed up and they back. I won't name the organizations because some of you work for them. You like me, Greg? I haven't opened up all the way.
So
Yeah.
here's a
Yeah.
question for you, Sanford.
Yes, ma'am.
Years with AEE, years in experiential education, years of doing something that people either didn't believe you were doing or didn't give enough credit to. What would you say is the cost of being overlooked and what's the word I'm looking for? Underestimated. There we go.
You know, Dietra, that is a beautiful question. That gets down deep. And I think we touched on that in our preparatory conversations. Your health, being overlooked as an African-American in the industry. Your sanity in this industry, being overlooked as an African-American in the industry. Insecurity, being made to feel stupid because you didn't go climb Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest and you had ideas, so you feel insecure with having a creative mind. Not being invited to things, feeling left out, feeling sometimes like you are a toy, like Little Black Sambo. I was the okay black guy to be there for the time being, to be shown off, you know, the pet, not to be looked upon as real. You know, when I say your health is the physical health of being a warrior, and every time you get kicked down the stairs, you get back up, but you don't walk the same because there's a pain. You don't run as fast anymore, but you just take everything you got and you just climb up the stairs. And, you know, not only for me, but that could be a story for anybody out there that is passionate about it. But you got to add that as a minority in the industry that truly was an executive director, truly signed the checks, truly the boss, and truly free. When you free like I've been free, you're called uppity. When you free like I've been free, you're called arrogant. When you're free like I am, then they want to kill you. And that ain't no joke. All you got to do is look at Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King. When you lead for real and shake the system, it makes people uncomfortable. So the price is high. And having a partner to understand that and that commitment, as my wife told me one day when we had one of our great discussions, she said, I'd hate to be you. You're in turmoil all the time inside. She said, it would be miserable to be you because I have to think all the time. You know, Dietra, what was the price of that underestimation? Like a little puppy that just wanted to please throw the ball, I'll bring it back to you. It was humiliating. It was humiliating. But because I had a platform every year to keep serving kids, I'd get my strength and I'd go right back into the arena And the reason I would go back into the arena is what I've said, Hutch, to a lot of people. Where are the opportunities for people like me to be in leadership? A lot of you all in leadership. A lot of you work with kids that look like me, but where are the opportunities for them to be like me? In control, the man. And I'm not bragging. And maybe I am, because after 46 years, I earned every bit of it, every inch of it. And I ain't ashamed. And so many African Americans in this country, from the Tuskegee Airmen to the Black astronauts that this country don't even talk about, and everything in between. It's like when I die, I might still exist in the memory of people, and I might not. We just fade away. But Hutch and the Committee of the Northeast, I want to thank you for being able to be here for you and maybe create that memory of something special. Because I've always, from the time I came to AEE, I just wanted to inspire, because I wanted to make a difference in this lifetime. You know, what's the use of living on this earth if you don't help somebody, change something, do something? And it's not about me, it's about we. And when you concentrate on me, you won't get nowhere. So, you know, Deidre, it was, again, going back to my theme, my mom and dad, it was the tenacity. I remember my mom was telling me when she got her master's at Indiana University, she would have had a 4-point, and the professor didn't give her an A in a class. And she went to talk to the professor about it. Now, this is in the 50s, okay? Indiana University, African-American female, getting her master's. And so the professor gave her a B, but she had 98% or something like that, which is an A. And when she asked the professor about it, he just told her, I don't give blacks A's, period. She could have made 100, but to keep her from having a 4-point, I said, Mom, what did you do? She said, it was nothing I could do, baby. I just walked away. Think about that. A lot of you are so free. If somebody did that to you, you've been arguing, going to the dean, because you're free. You've been stirring up a ruckus. That wasn't right. That's wrong. That's what freedom is when you don't know how free you are. And it is often overlooked, especially if you're part of the major community, which I'll just go ahead and say, if you're Caucasian in America, you know, it's like, hey, I don't like it. I'll say it. I ain't gonna take it, blah, blah, blah. And you grow up like that. But when you grow up like me, how dare you? And so through this process that Deidre asked me, I had to keep that rage together. I had to find a way to overcome. And at this point in time, as I told my wife, nothing else to prove but maybe sit down and write and put it out somewhere for other people to read. Maybe I'll get there one day. I don't know. But thank you, Deidre. That was great. And I'm not, oh, by the way, I am not an angry black man out there. Okay, everybody?
Okay, if you are.
Tammy, you like me?
So actually, I'm glad you mentioned Tammy, because I have a question for you, Sanford. So you are somebody who's been in this position for years, decades, actually, technically. You have been the leader, you've been in charge, you've been the man. and you have this team of folks that are so supportive of you. I know Tammy's on here. I saw a couple of other folks from Pfeiffer Camp. Tammy's been messaging me in the chat. Binky's on the call. Like, how often do you sit and really think about, not from the perspective of like, these are all people that I owe so much to, but how much have you thought about the legacy and the impact that you've had on all these folks?
You know, Binky and I had this conversation, and I actually talked about it maybe a couple of hours ago, that I feel like a failure. I feel like I could have done more. I feel like I should have done more. It's hard for me to honestly it's hard for me to internalize the love that has come back to me from my staff and the people that are with me. Tammy is over 20 years. We were young, being creative, taking on the world. And we have each other's back and have had each other's back. We get our salaries cut. We don't know if we're gonna make it through COVID. And they trust my leadership, and Binky, and then Troy and other staff that have been with me. It's like, it's magic. But that magic is because I don't know any other way to treat people but with respect and honesty and love. You know, when I say it's not me, it's we. When I love poems, and they'll sit in a staff meeting with me and I'll go, goodwill is the monarch of this house. Men and women unacquainted, enter, exchange greetings, and depart friends. And that means the staff are coming from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Texas, or wherever. Men and women unacquainted, enter, exchange greetings, and depart friends. So we work for 8-9 months. We go through these agendas of somebody is mad at somebody during the day. It's not all rosy, but we exchange those greetings over that time frame, and we depart friends. And I mean that. And when the team first comes in, they just think I'm some guy quoting poetry, saying some nice fancy words, and then we live it, and then they get it. And the other thing is, no one ever comes work for me. Everybody comes to work with me. They're not employees to me. Now, I am the boss and, you know, kind of have the last say on things, and I'm the guy that goes down if somebody messes up. But overall, I try very hard to listen to the team and work together. I also believe one more thing. I believe in hiring people smarter than me, because if you're dumber than me, you can't help me. You know, I don't need no dumb people. I'm dumb enough for everybody. I need smart people, and get out of the way. If I've got attention deficit disorder, I can't spell, you know, I'm dyslexic. And so why do I want to hire somebody else that has oppositional behavior disorder, is dyslexic, got OBD and every other thing, to come work with me? I need geniuses. And once I can get me some geniuses in here, they all make me look good. And so that's my genius, hiring smart people. I hope I answered it, Deetra.
You
The
did,
price
and
is
I'm
high.
watching the chat too. And Troy says, you're not a failure, you're a great leader. Tammy says, you are the absolute best boss. What a heart. John says, best boss I've ever had and probably will ever have. And everyone, I don't know who Mr. Fish is. I don't know if you know who Mr. Fish is, but says, no question, I agree with everyone above. And I realize that that might be a lot for you to hear how awesome you are.
It is.
But we're recording this, so I'm going to make sure everybody that watches this after the fact sees how awesome you are.
Well, Thank you, Deidre. But I see somebody that's put tears in my eyes right now. With all my love, I see Jed Williamson. Jed, man, I want to cry, man.
I'm still kicking.
I love you so much, man.
Thank you.
And I owe you an apology for when I grabbed your shoulder in excitement in Vancouver, Canada. I apologize. I've thought about that. I didn't mean to invade. I was so excited. And just, you were that person that I wanted to talk to so bad. And I love you, brother. I love you so much. This gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, is a part of that legacy that I was trying to tell you about. I'm talking about we're still alive, guys. You know,
Yeah.
man, I'm so humble to see Jed and everything that he's done and who he is. I'm just humble. And so thank you for that. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for all of the years of the friendship. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at that picture. Who is that?
We're doing our part. That's our son-in-law and our 2 grandchildren.
That's
We're
a blended family.
We're in, brother.
Yeah, that's a blended family.
You
Well,
bet.
you always were crazy too, though, Jed. You know, you always walked on the wild side too.
Well, so did our daughters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. You know, this is a family reunion for everybody on here now. You know, Hutch, you said you wanted it to be personal. This is personal.
Mhm.
This is wonderful.
Right.
We're still here.
Yeah. Our 2 brown grandsons, our granddaughter and grandson, are such a joy. And we're going to be with them for a month this summer.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, Jed,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about all the young people on and all us old fuddy-duddies talking about our grandchildren and our daughters. And they're like, I didn't tune in for that. You know, that's because they ain't got none yet. But they're going to have to look forward to this, and hopefully they will.
I hope so.
I hope that they will be happy to see the love.
Yeah.
Because what I'm talking about is not something that's phony. You know, this is not something I'm doing just to do. This is real.
That's right, man.
This is real. You know, when you lay down and you take your last breath and you go to sleep, all you young folk out there, it's the dash between when you were born and the dash between when you die. What did you do in this little bitty dash of life? And if you've done something good, you just go to sleep and you relax. But I'm not ready for the end of mine yet. What about you, Jed?
MLK said, what did you do for somebody today? Martin Luther King. What did you do for somebody today?
Gosh, this is so wonderful. Have I inspired anybody out there? Kate, how am I doing? Are you happy?
Lots of thumbs up.
Sharon, are you
Look at
happy?
all those smiles, Sanford.
Brett, are you happy? Anna Louise. Ray. Greg. That's the only ones I can see. And then Allie and Chris and Troy. Oh, Binky Zoe, that's my daughters. Jessica, that's my other staff. Christine, she's at the basketball game with her kids. But it's a family. And all I wish for, there's my wife. Where's mama? Binky, where's mama? There's my mama, everybody. Look at her. She's 93 years old. And if you ever saw the movie, The Great Debate, she went to Wiley College, and take a look at that. But that's where I get my foundation for education. That's where I get my foundation for experiential learning. That's where I get my foundation for loving all people, regardless of whether they're black, white, green, purple, gay, straight. I just don't have time for dumb people. You just don't have time for it. It's a waste of time. And I get in trouble all the time. I actually am speaking very well right now in terms of my descriptive adjectives to describe my feelings for real, because this is called a formal thing and it's going to be played over again. But I'm kind of like, don't put baloney in front of a dog and don't tell him to bite it, you know? So if something's not right out there, I have a tendency to express it and put it out there. It is my 46th year and 40 plus thousand kids, adults, and teachers and parents later. And I often tell everybody, nobody would hire me for any other job. So I've been stuck here. But this is good. Did I answer your question, Deetra?
You've answered all of my questions like 6 times over, Sanford. There are some questions that I didn't even ask you because you've already answered them.
Really? You are the best moderator in the world, Deetra. And I can't wait. I have already said, I want you to fly down here. I have some freaking fly miles, you know, and I know you're busy, but I would like somebody in the group. I need some feedback because I'm going to beat myself up tonight. My wife knows this. And feel like I didn't do a good job, even though I get accolades. But is there a burning question that somebody might have that, you know, I can try to help? Other than money, I don't have a lot of money to send you. You like me?
Hey, well, listen, people often ask my wife, how did you manage to stay with this guy for so many years? So I could ask Binky the same thing, but we won't go there. The reason is because we're away from home enough doing our work so that they get excited to see us when we come back once in a while.
Oh, Binky. Jed, Binky feels sorry for me. I
Hey,
think that's the
Sanford?
best answer.
Kate, do you want to ask or do you want me to ask? I'll let you ask. It's your question.
All right. Hey, Sanford, thanks so much. This is great. And you're not done. So what's next?
Wow, Kate. You know, I've really gone through a lot of depression on that question. I really have. COVID hit me really hard. Our program ended all of a sudden. I wound up going into a dark place. And that's how I met Deetra and then Christine, and things kind of popped up in my life. And before then, I thought that I would be able to be motivated to kind of write, do some traveling and go see all the people around the country that I like. You know, Binky and I talked about getting a camper or something like that. And then writing up, because so many of my colleagues have written books and I haven't written anything. I haven't told my story. And it's hard for me to sit down and get peaceful. But I actually, Kate, didn't see my future anymore. And that's about as personal as I could make it for you. I didn't, let's just put it this way. I think I lost my smile. And all of you tonight in doing this, even though my mother is very, very ill, kind of gives me my smile back. Seeing Jed, and I think Jed understand what I'm trying to say. You just sometimes when you get older, even though you've done a lot of things, and the way COVID hit, you just feel like you don't have any value because so many changes so fast, so sudden. But next, I married a younger woman, Kate, and we had babies, and I got one at Yale, and the other one, Jed, is going to George Washington. One's 23, the other one's 20. My oldest is 47. My next one is 32. And then I just had my first grandson. So it looks like, Kate, I'm gonna have to work till I croak, also. But that was a wonderful question. And thank you for letting me tell you what's in my heart. It's been really hard to figure out what's next. It really has, especially when you reach that point where you don't think there's a next. I don't know how many people you met that's really gregarious and kind of operate from a serendipitous kind of behavior. And the next thing you know, they're gone because they just really putting on an image to make everybody else feel good versus what's going on deep inside. So that was a great question, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So you don't have to write. You could just keep telling stories. There's, this thing called podcasts. And
yeah, my daughters have done that. That's one thing you can probably figure out, Kate. You get me talking, I don't know how to shut up. And I like to talk. I like people. I really do. I guess if I could have a hobby, it would be around a bunch of people and talking and just seeing their faces. That would be payment. What is Mom doing? There she is. Did she say something, Binky?
She's nodding,
Okay.
nodding and smiling in agreement. You just
Okay.
need people.
Oh, this is wonderful. This is special. My mom is my gift to all of you. That's my gift. Nothing like a mom. All right, ladies out there, nothing like a mom. So give me another question, Kate. That was heavy for me. What about Brett?
Sanford, thank you so much for everything that you're sharing. And Kate, I totally connect with something you said, that Sanford, you said, to be around long enough to share a story and just being able to share very briefly with your story. So I guess my question is, over the course of your life, what have you learned about yourself? And in this moment now, as you share with us, what have you learned about yourself that will last beyond your story?
What I learned about myself is that I'm loyal. The people that gave me a chance here at the camp, and I'm not trying to be Afrocentric, but I just have to go there because of the uniqueness of me in the industry. They gave me a chance, and a lot of people quit the organization when they gave me a chance. And I went through a whole lot, and I gave them my word I wouldn't quit. And so that's what I've learned about myself, is that I'm very loyal. Like if we met, we're in a bar, and even though we friends, you caused the fight, I'm gonna make sure I'm in there with you. But if we get whooped, I'm gonna talk about you as soon as we get outside. I'm loyal. And I've always been loyal to a fault. And that's what I learned about myself. And I have been in situations where I've been loyal to people, and they've really devastated me. And so I've learned about myself that I'm really still very gullible to human beings, to people. And it's my Achilles heel, because I'll give anybody a chance. You know, it's sort of like they say some magic words and I'm like, well, I've been burnt before, but I'll try it again. And then of course, Binky gets the raft of it when I go, I knew I shouldn't have hired them. They ain't no good. They were this and this and this and this and this. But that's what I've learned about myself, is that I'm very loyal to my passion and people. And this organization of AEE doing this, I'm loyal. Thank you for that question. Oh, how about Anna Louise?
Well, I mean, I've been keeping track of some things that I want to say once we're ready to close, which I don't think we are there yet. I think something that I had the privilege of seeing you kind of cycle through when we were getting geared up and organized was the multiple hats that you wear, both like literal hats. And then I think there's probably, if you had a hat for every role that you play, I don't know if you would have a house big enough based on what I've heard already to hold all of your hats. But yeah, I guess just thinking about the different roles that you play and the literal hats in addition to other kind of ways that you are involved. I would love to hear more and showcase some of that here for everyone.
Oh, Anna Louise, you hit a home run. You knocked it out of the park. I have so many hats. You got me. I have fedoras for Chicago, standing on the corner in, you know, a cashmere long black coat. I've got a Tammy Wynette, silver and jade band, black cowboy hat that I wear out in Colorado that's over 25 years old. I've got my, Marine Corps old flop hat that, you know, I've had 25 years. I remember went on a canoe trip and I lost the hat and I jumped out to go get the hat because as we were going downstream, I was going to save my hat. You know, I've got my Stetson stovepipe, wide earth hat. Usually when I put that on with my wide rim glasses, they think I'm a mafia don or something. That usually scares everybody. And so you hit me. I love hats. But for Jed, this is my hat from my dad, Jed. World War II, sunk in the Mediterranean. Stayed afloat at 19 years old, shipped to the Philippines, blown up. Drove the landing craft for Okinawa and Saipan. I was holding his hand on his last breath, and it was peaceful. So this is my daddy's hat, and I had this one for Anna Louise, the first AEE hat, and then my company hat, but I won't put that on. And so, yeah, many hats, many hats. So how about Christy? Oh, Christy didn't hear me.
I think she's the moderator.
Oh, she's the moderator?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you got to tell me how all this stuff works.
I think she's monitoring everything.
My daughter is here. You know, they don't let me, I live on 88 acres behind a gate, Jed. It is a secure, undisclosed location, and they don't let me out in public very often. So this is one of my, what I would say, guards right here, my daughter. And they tell me what to do because technology has left me. But I would like to show you one day my 1950 Packard deluxe sedan in the garage, Jed, 3 on the tree, 232 flathead 8, canary yellow like Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. But that's a sidebar right there. So, Ray, you've been sending a lot of energy out. I've been feeling you.
I appreciate that. I'm sitting here and all I could write in the comments was thank you for sharing your stories, but so many things that you've said have resonated and really spoke to me. Yeah. So I guess my question to you would be, you hit a low point in COVID, but after, like, through all of those years, there must have been others. So what kept you going?
What kept me going was the fact that, again, I have to go back to this, Ray, being a minority in the South, the opportunities to go to the formalized outer doors was not afforded. So I knew as long as I could stay here, kids like me could come to camp. They could come and put a backpack on. Their parents couldn't buy them a backpack. They couldn't pay to go to Girl Scout camp, Boy Scout camp. And our camp was free. It's always been free. And go canoeing and learn to swim. And I personally took on the commitment through it all that if I left here, then kids like me might not ever get a chance to come back. Ray, before I got to this facility, it was for white boys only, not even girls. That's the history. And then slowly in the 50s, girls came, and then in the 60s, people of color could come. And then the old leadership decided those people are coming, and they jumped ship and left it in disarray. And that's how I got to be here. It wasn't in good repair when I got it. It was pretty broken down. And so I put my life in it so that kids like me and girls like you could have a chance for families that didn't have the money to have a quality camp. You know, we're accredited by ACA, the whole 9 yards, licensed by the DHS and the state, and, you know, and so that's why through all of those ups and downs, and you are right, from being audited by the IRS, being approached by the FBI and dropping badges on me. I've been through a whole lot because, you know, guys like me were supposed to steal the money, manipulate.
Your audio cut out, Sanford.
Oh, they lost.
Sorry, I
it.
was trying to look at the chat.
Oh, they missed all of that?
No, they didn't. I don't think they missed all of it.
Oh,
Just a little bit.
okay. Well, you know, but back to your point, Ray, I was always approached in the community, and I'll call it this, Ray, the what I call the social systematic genocide that has happened, systemic social systematic genocide that keeps people in certain places, that makes presumptions and assumptions, and through legal maneuvering maintains a certain status quo. And when anybody comes out of that status quo, you become a major problem. And so through everything that I went through, I had that kind of rebel rouser in me that I was still fighting the man, so to speak, for my kids. And so I survived a lot. Sometimes I wonder if it was to my betterment or to my detriment. you know, 4 surgeries, twice maybe death. You know, I remember the doctor, Ray, after they did one of my surgeries, said, "Mr. Tollette, you know how sick you are?" I said, "Yes, doc." He says, I said, "But I got to go to camp. It's the opening camp. I've never missed a day in 30 some or 40 some years." He said, "Mr. Tollette, that camp will run without you. You understand how bad it is?" And I said, "Yeah, I understand how bad it is." I said, "But doc, I can't run without the camp." And I got out and I just had to ride a golf cart, and they had a wound vac on my belly and everything. But I never missed an opening day. And I think I'm talking too much for a lot of you. I'm starting to see body language, and you all are being so kind to me. But I just love all of my AEE family. I love all of you. And if I never got a chance right now tonight to ever see you again, I hope that I have said something that will be a foundation for your greater destiny. That's all I hope for, that I've said something, made you smile, lifted your heart, stimulated your soul, that if we never met again, you never heard my voice again, it'll be right in here, right in here. And that will mean a lot to me. God bless all of you. God keep you. And thank you to the committee of the Northeast Association of Experiential Education 2021 for allowing me to be your dialogue conversationalist tonight. Thank you, Hutch.
You are welcome, Sanford. Deidre, what words of wisdom do you want to try to follow up after that?
Well, I was gonna say, I can't even close the thing out with you, Sanford. You just do the closing on your own too. You're just too good at what you do. But I will say, because we are at the end of this time, but not all the time, because you have way more stories than we can contain in any recording. Everybody will just have to wait for the podcast, I guess. One last piece of wisdom that you would drop, shortest last piece of wisdom, challenge you with that one before we turn it over to Anne Louise to wrap things up.
Shortest piece of wisdom. Okay. The shirt I've been wearing, Dietrich, for my mother in the hospital, it's the stork and the frog. A lot of you seen it. Never give up. Never give up. You can give out, you can give in, but you don't give up. And just because you're afraid, my wisdom on that one is everybody can be afraid. And with the kids, I say, if somebody starts shooting, you're going to get scared, you're going to duck. But at the same time, if you got something to return fire, not necessarily, a Glock, I'm just saying metaphorically, intellectually return fire, then stand up. It's okay to be afraid, but don't be a coward. There's a difference. It's okay to be scared, but don't ever be a coward. If you'll live like that, you'll achieve all of your goals and all of your dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanford.
I would love to invite to do the messiest thing, which is to unmute, to fill the chat, to shower all of our gratitude and thank you and direct it at you, Sanford. If folks would join me in that, feel free to, clap, do all the things. Woo, thank you.
Woo. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seeing so many pieces in the chat too of people naming just so much gratitude.
You did.
So as we close, I was reflecting as I was hearing you share, Sanford, that there's been some people that I meet or get to connect with in my life where everything or a lot of what somebody says is like could just be quoted and like presented in some like fancy graphic way where you can like take away that quote and know that it will apply to so many moments in your life. And I just heard again and again quotes from you that stood out to me, and I'm sure lots of people pulled different things. A few that stood out, I really appreciated if you're an experiential educator, then it means that you're weird, which I love. And so I'd love for people to reflect on like what makes you weird in the best way as part of this industry, in that you also named that if you're here, your roots are here. And so thinking about what are your roots, what are you tapped into? The piece around words being food and finding the words that are written that really can be a foundation for your soul. That one definitely landed with me in a big way. And I think, again, a lot of the words that you've shared can find their way into that foundation. So thank you. And the last piece is just for me, the metaphor that you used around a dance between your first breath and your last. And so I encourage people to think about, is there a dance move that you want to be adding right now to this part of your life that is going to help make, as you named Sanford, that difference, that change for the future? And if I can dance in any way like you have, Sanford, I think I'd be doing just fine. That'd be great. Yes, so much love. Thanks. I mean, all I did was reflect words and thoughts back from Sanford to you all. And I don't think I want to or can do much more to close, other than just, again, accentuate the gratitude for you taking the time to be here and for everyone to help be a part of this community and this learning experience together. Yeah. I am going to place in the chat, if you want to engage in a different way, there's this platform called Gather, and it's particularly useful and enjoyable when there's more than one person there. And so I'll add the link, and if you follow the link, you will go to not Zoom, but a thing called Gather. And on this page, you'll have like a little icon, and you can move around the space. There's different places you can go. And the interesting part is that you can kind of cluster up with people, mingle around, chat, have some conversations around how this felt, what you're thinking about or taking away. And I just invite people, if you would like, to show up there in order to continue to have some of the conversations. And if not on Gather and in not virtual space, please keep talking and connecting. That's where the learning happens. So thank you all. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. Goodbye.